right? So let's transition to farmers and let's go to how farmers are being impacted with the current in the last segment, how farmers are being impacted from the tariff situation currently within the United States.
Despite Donald Trump blinking on a bunch of the big disastrous tariffs on like the whole world, including like Madagascar and the island with the penguins, he announced today he's not just maintaining but increasing his tariffs on China, which is one of our largest trading partners. And among the Americans who will almost immediately feel the pain are farmers, because China buys a lot of their product and will slap tariffs on in response. Alex Wagner has been doing amazing reporting on the impact of Trump's policies on the ground, went to North Carolina to talk to former farmers about Trump's tariffs and what it means for their future and their livelihood.
Agriculture, there's about 85% of what happens on my farm that is completely out of my control.
Yeah.
So I have to do the very best I can at managing that 15% of inputs and costs and labor and marketing and signing the best contract and doing the best job that I can, and leave the other 85% up to the good Lord. And that's all we can do, whether it's weather or disease or a hailstorm or a pandemic or administration. And we just weather the storm.
It's kind of a wait and see game. I mean, I think the main thing is not to overreact and get too nervous. I mean, stay the course. That's what's helped us, all of these generations of farmers stay in the course and doing what we do best and being efficient, not spending money when we don't need to spend money,
Right.
and just keeping our, ears open and eyes open and being able to pivot when we can.
I think that sentiment that she just laid out is the most important thing that is being discussed today. How do we move? How as a business owner do we move? How do we move as a consumer? As a normal person, as a normal citizen within the United States, how do we move moving forward in this climate that we currently are in? She said it. She said, stay the course, right? Do not overspend on things you don't need to buy. Efficiency is very important. Efficiency is everything. We talked about how debt is death in a previous video. Keeping the debt down is everything right now. No debt. If you can lower your debt right now in this current climate that we're in right now, that's probably the most important thing I can tell you. Pay off your debts. Be more efficient. Right? The money that you make sure that you're not overspending that money on things that you know that you don't need. Caring about how other people think about you and what you wear, how you wear it, the car that you drive, all of that, none of that stuff really matters at the end of the day. Who cares? Be secure in what you have. Thank God for what you have. You have a roof over your head. You got a vehicle to drive. You got food in your refrigerator. You ain't struggling at that level. Be grateful for that. Weather the storm. Pay off your debts. Invest. This is the best time to invest in the stock market. This is the best time to invest in the stock market. Other people will say, hey, the market's down 20%. Okay. It is. If you went to the store right now and you had a 20% clearance section or a sale on an item that you would have bought a month ago that wasn't on sale, would you buy it? You absolutely would buy it. So why wouldn't you buy stocks on sale at 20, 30, 40, in some cases 50%? Why wouldn't you buy it at 50% if it's a great company and you would have bought it when it wasn't on a discount? The same mindset we got to have when it comes to going to the store and looking for discounts is the same concept that we got to think when it comes to value and when it comes to the stock market. So when the stock market is down 20 to 20%, because the stock market as a whole is not down, 20% as of yet, but let's say it's down 15%, and you have individual stocks that's on sale at 20, 30, 40%, why are you not buying them when they're at a discount? Because I'm scared, Antoine. I'm scared, man. Well, risk is real. But Warren Buffett had this saying, hey, risk is not as real as you think when it comes to making financial decisions. Risk is not knowing what you're doing. It has a lot to do with ignorance. It's your inability to have the knowledge to how to do the things that you need to do, when it comes to investments. But if you understand it, right, and you have the knowledge in it, it's not risky at all. Buy great companies at huge discounts. Buy great companies at huge discounts. But let's transition back to what she was saying when it came to her farming business was stay efficient, weather the storm, do not overspend, and stay the course. Right? The season will end at some point. It will. But you, as a consumer, as a business owner, you need to weather the storm, stay the course, be efficient, and do not overspend in this current climate.
Here with me now is Alex Wagner, MSNBC senior political analyst and host of the Trumpland podcast. I loved those quotes because I think it's actually a profound insight, like a genuinely profound insight, and also like explains a lot of why a lot of folks are like,
yes,
we're just going to sort of see where it all goes.
I think, it was interesting being in Clayton, North Carolina yesterday as, Wall Street's melting down. The financial world is flipping out. Investors are calling Trump. People can't get through. It's a different reality in red state America. All the people that I talked to at that table had voted for Trump at least once, if not multiple times. And in part because of that, but I think largely because of the attitude you have to take when you are a farmer. You are more sanguine. You are more accepting of external chaos. But I kept saying, this isn't hurricanes. This isn't weather. This isn't an act of God. This is Donald Trump making very clear decisions that put you in financial peril. And it's not just that they sell their, goods to China. It's that they need farm equipment. They need lots of supplies that are manufactured in China. And they've already spent that money, Chris. The way it goes with a commodities trade is you've already put the money in the ground for the seed, the fertilizer, the equipment, the labor. They just got to hope come harvest time that they can sell it at a decent price and don't lose money. And Trump has thrown all of that up in the air, right? But what's so interesting, I think, is the empathy they feel with him insofar as the project of correcting a trade imbalance that they see has been decades in the making, the kinship they feel with him in his political project to break things and upend the status quo, and the fundamental and unspoken belief that if it all does go to hell in a handbag, as it did in 2018, Donald Trump will make sure they are made whole. So I'm speaking of the bailouts that were offered, the money, the assistance that was granted to farmers in the last Trump trade war with China in 2018. And I asked them about that and whether that was something they expected and what they thought of other people who might not be so keen on that idea. This is that conversation. The assistance that the president put in place after the last tariff increase basically erased the financial gains from that tariff increase, which I think left a lot of people scratching their heads like, well, why are we doing this to begin with? Do you feel the same way? I
feel like in the last trade war, we kind of went through the short-term pain, and I'm wondering where the gain was, maybe. We kind of came out of it in a little bit of turmoil.
I think some people have not forgotten that, and they're saying, well, you know what? The people that voted to put this president in office, this is your guy. And if this is your guy, you got to roll with the policies he enacts. And why should the rest of the country that didn't vote for him be bailing out farmers?
That's right. And they're also, those same people oftentimes demand that farmers address climate change and farmers adapt different technologies. And we have responded in spades with soil health initiatives, cover crops, using less inputs to produce more on less land with less water and higher labor costs. But those same people that make those demands are not willing to pay the cost for the American products in the store. They will buy the cheaper imported products that have much lower, their daily wage rate are less than what we have to pay an hour for our H-2A workers that are coming in. And the disparity when you're having somebody tell you how to do what you do best for a living and then not be willing to pay for the demands that they're making is laughable. We're fighting with one hand tied behind our backs because we're having to meet the regulations that are imposed to produce the quality food and address all of these other social issues we may or may not be responsible for. But at the same time, we're not seeing a return in the marketplace because American products are too expensive. And
so right now, farmers are saying, and let's go back, farmers as a whole, for the most part, are Republicans, right? Because of their lifestyle, most farmers, they fall in that Republican, that Republican vote group, right? They're in a very tough situation right now because of the tariffs on China, as well as tariffs being put on the United States by China, right? So from a farmer standpoint, a lot of this has to do with sowing seeds. The season goes, and as they reap the harvest, they then sell their crops, that they grew to the market. If you have a bad market that's not willing to pay for the crops or the goods that they're providing at a certain price, then they don't make money.